if you were told, look, you can only have 2 or 3 pieces of data, and you just abandon everything else, just not available to you. When you're trying to figure out the future direction of inflation and interest rates and bond yields and the like, if you really had to distill it down to the absolute essence of what's most important to you, what do you pay attention to? What would be most valuable to you?
Wow, that's a good question. How do I think through this? The I would throw out a lot of survey data because I think it's noise. And oftentimes, I shouldn't say it's all noise. Like oftentimes, how people are positioned is helpful, and it tends to gives you some directional help at times around inflection points. But I find that most surveys predict 9 out of 3 right events, and so if you said to me, I can only use 2 or 3 pieces of information or data, I would always err on the side of looking at corporate activity and, reading too many documents around, what's happening with companies and then, consumer data. I mean, 70% of the U.S. economy is consumption oriented or service oriented. And today, to me, I'm always amazed. Like people look at the same analogs for how the economy operated in the 70s and 80s, and the economy is much more sophisticated, much more service oriented, much more mature, technology oriented. And so I really like digging in terms of consumer service, what's driving the service sector. And that to me gives me a better, like, I still can't believe that people spend so much time on some of the manufacturing activity, which is, not what drives the economy today, particularly in aging demography. It's healthcare and education and service and technology. So I don't know, those are the things I tend to focus more on, but it is definitely the hard data, really good hard data. And oftentimes the big economic releases are an aggregated mess because they tell you, oh, it's up 0.2. Well, up 0.2 means nothing because you have one sector that's killing another sector that's getting crushed. Like, what is it telling you? Like, I don't even think it's that meaningful. The only thing is markets respond to it. So like I've learned, like we can, you have to be respectful of your data. Markets move on sentiment. And if, you could know like what's happening in inflation, we've studied the million prices and look at, but like the markets focus on the CPI report. If it's up 0.4, up 0.3 or 0.2, it's like, that's what the markets move on. So you got to have the good data, but then be really, thoughtful about if the markets are going to react to, some pieces of news that are, less robust. You also have to consider that in your investment process.